Welcome to another episode of the Inspirational Corner with me, your host, Stylisha Bolton, as we encourage you here to live bold, live loud, and live authentically without apology. Welcome to another episode, everyone. And of course, if this is your first time listening in, I am going to encourage you to hit the subscribe button so you will not miss out on any new podcast episodes. I want to say happy Valentine's Day out there to everyone that celebrated Valentine's Day, or it's a belated Valentine's Day because, of course, Valentine's Day has passed. And I really wanted to think of do an episode that correlated with this month and Valentine's Day. And so with this episode today, I am going to be talking about single and not settling, because just because you're single does not mean that you have to settle for society's idea and thoughts on being single or anyone else. If you're like me, the pandemic, really had shaken us up. And because we're still in the midst of a pandemic in 2021, we're all still trying to get used to this new normal in our lives. It's just paramount, and it's just something that we're trying to and constantly work through. And with that said, many of us are still trying to adjust. We're adjusting. I know I'm adjusting to a lot of things, and we all been adjusting for the last year, in this pandemic. And I know we are just kind of ready for it to be over. I don't know about you. I am. But, of course, safety is important. And, that's what matters. But I know even now, things are not going to go back to how they were, because like I said, we're in this new normal. But if you're single like I am, this time has been a very unusual time, and it may have been a challenging time for those that are single, because for me, and I know many others, it has made you in a way to be forced to deal with the reality of being single. You probably wasn't aware of how single you were, knowing that, if you're not in a relationship, of course, you're considered, of course, and not married, that you're single. And so you probably wasn't forced to really focus on that reality until the pandemic came. But we all know that because technology has constantly evolved and revolutionized how we date, that you have more dating options. And that you don't have to be single, because you have all these different websites. You have all these different dating apps right at your fingertips, from your phone to your computer or laptop. You don't have to be single. Single doesn't have to be an option. However, I just believe that society has stigmatized being single. And why, I guess the question I would ask is, why is the term being single that's considered bad, or is viewed as something as bad? Like, we see all these hashtags, this, especially hashtag relationship goals. And so many times you're looking at these celebrity relationships, you're looking at other people's relationship, and you want a relationship based upon what they showing you. And I don't think you should covet or be jealous after anybody's relationship. True enough, being single, we all get to a point where we want to be in a relationship, but I don't believe being single is a bad thing. And it's a journey. It's a constant journey for me. I've been single for the last, couple of years, or I say maybe 4 to 5 years now. And it's, maybe a little bit longer. But I've learned some things through my journey, because so many things I had to transition through after getting out of the relationship that I was in with the guy that I was in a relationship with. And I just believe when you are single, you have that space, that time to get what you need, to get the healing you need, the healing of your past, your inner wounds and your childhood wounds. if you are willing to do the work, see, that's the key. If you're not doing no inner healing work, then no matter what, those things are going to follow you, and you're going to take it into your romantic relationship. You'll take it into your marriage. So many, and as being a woman, and at this age, I feel like as women, we, don't want to get hypnotized into believing that marriage and being in a relationship is our end all be all, and it's the answer to our happiness, and like it blocks out all the inner issues and inner healing that we need to do, because you still have to do that work. And I think when you are single, you're going to get that time to also get to know yourself, and it's the freedom to explore the world and see new things. And you don't have to synchronize your schedule with somebody else or check in with someone else, because you get to, kind of pretty much live life on your own terms. I know for me, over the years, being single, I had to redefine it for myself to be comfortable with being single. And because I have been single for a couple of years now, I had to kind of rearrange what being single was for myself. And it helped me to regain some confidence and understanding that being single, that my singlehood is a choice and it's truly not a life sentence. And I think as women, because I'm not speaking for all women, I'm just speaking from my perspective, being single, and maybe not now because how the world has evolved, but I think in some ways still the stigma is there that being single is a bad thing, that we all should be chasing after these hashtag relationship goals. And I discussed it in Happily Unmarried about having a relationship with yourself should be a priority. And because so many of us look outside of ourselves to fulfill something on the inside of us that we have the power to fulfill, that God has given us the power to fulfill. And yes, it's true, God created us as humans to connect with each other. But I think when you are presented with a season and an opportunity, that you should maximize on that season in your life, whatever season you're in, whether you're single, being divorced, being married, maximizing on those seasons, because they are seasons and times in your life, or long-term partnership. And when I think about all the, romantic relationships that I've been in and the different men that I entertain in my life, I realized that I was doing a lot of things and hurt myself in a lot of ways by chasing men and trying to convince them that I'm worthy of their time and worthy to be with them, and I'm worthy to be their wife, and why they ain't putting the ring on it. It was just a lack of self-worth, self-love, and me having a low self-esteem. That's what I had. And I realized, and I'm not ashamed, because if you never go through anything, you won't have the lessons. And I wouldn't be the woman I am today, and I wouldn't be able to do this podcast and just to share my experience. I think it's important. And I had to really go through some inner healing within myself and do some inner healing work, as well as get help, with therapists and all that stuff. And I've talked about it plenty of times before, with knowing that another person doesn't define me. That person should complement or add to the things I already have. That man is not going to define my life. Like, that's the end all be all, marriage and having kids and the white picket fence. That's the infinite goal. And once I accomplish that, that's it. That's my happiness and my life is over. It's just so much more in life than that. And I think it is important and paramount that in this time, if you are single, that you define your own meaning of what it means to be single, instead of taking on, like I said before, the societal definition and stigma of what singleness is. I know for me, February is my favorite month, just like Christmas time, December. February is me and my daughter favorite month because I created a yearly tradition where in February I celebrate something I call 28 Days of Love. And so I celebrated with just the entire month of February dedicated to self-love, self-care, and self-appreciation for myself and my daughter. And my daughter loved it because I've made it such a big thing since she's been young. And when my youngest daughter was living, I made it such a big thing in our household when I was in my late 20s. And when I had them, and it's been a very, what can I say, enjoyable journey. And not only that, it's been an inner deep journey for me to go through because it really helped me have a different perspective of Valentine's Day and love in general by taking time to redefine and have a different perspective on Valentine's Day, because we know we live in a capitalism world or capitalistic world where they trying to make money off of everything. So, you know, their idea is we're going to make money. We're going to promote Valentine's Day being for couples only. But, you know, now we celebrate Galentine's Day with our, girlfriends and our best friend, with our best friends, our sisters, in the sisterhood. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And, that's by, putting a different spin on everything. And so I just think that is a more positive outlook on Valentine's Day, other than saying, oh, it's just for couples. Maybe, a couple decades ago, it just was like, oh, it's just for couples. And, where the single people fit in at, and, at this stage in my life, being 41, being single, I feel like I'm just starting my life. I feel like in my 20s and 30s, it was boot camp. But now feel like I'm just at the beginning of my life, and I have so many things that I want to do in my life. And this season is a season for me to embrace, to enjoy, to have fun, and live in the moment. And like I said before, being single is a choice. But that doesn't mean that this season in my life is going to be forever. But this is the season, my single season is the season I am in. And recently I had to come to terms with, to stop feeling like being single was just like the end of the world. And I was like, okay, I had to talk to myself and say, okay, Stylisha, how are you going to redefine being single for yourself? Yeah, your friends, in relationships and, married or whatever, got stuff going on or whatever, or whatever the case might be. But how are you going to define your single? Because being single is a choice, and I choose to be single in this present moment that I'm in. Like I said, it's not my forever season. I believe that right man will come at the right time in my life. Obviously, I'm single in this season for a reason, to do some more inner work within, to enjoy life and to see it from a different perspective. Because like I said, a couple of years ago, I was in a relationship. So this I can take, and getting out of that relationship and then spending all those other years after it, trying to get my mental and emotional state back together and just being like, okay, I'm by myself again, and not in a negative way, but just going through my own journey of being single and saying, okay, this time around, how I'm going to define being single. Just because I'm single doesn't mean I have to be like, when I'm going to meet the one, when I'm gonna, when is this guy gonna come around in my life? You know what I'm saying? And I don't look at it like that, because I have always embraced the moments of my life. And I said that for me, I'm reclaiming my time, like Maxine Waters said, let me reclaim my time. And so I decided to reclaim my time and my power on the term single. And so I said, you know what? I simply define my singleness right now as contentment. And fun and exploration of new and great things. There's, like I said before, there's so many other things that I want to do. So I want to give you all that's single like me, out there. If you're single and listening in, I want to give you 5 ways to redefine your singleness and let go of the idea of settling for less, that you have to settle for less than what you deserve, because you don't. Number 1, date yourself first. I think this is so important. And before the pandemic, I used to date myself like every week. Well, it was once a month. And then I was like, no, that's not enough. Because as a woman, we play so many roles. And I was like, you know what? I need to date myself every week. So every week, every Friday on the weekend, I tell my daughter, this is what I'm doing. I ask her, what do you want to do? And I let her know, this is what I'm doing for myself. And it was fun. It was enjoyable. I would take myself out to eat. And now, since the pandemic has, settled in and we're still in the midst of it, I had to realize, like, I still can't let that be an excuse for me to stop dating myself and to stop living my life. The pandemic hadn't went nowhere since last year. So because it's still here, that does not mean I'm supposed to stop living my life and date myself. So I've just been a little bit more creative about dating myself. Like when I get my hair done or something, or have a hair appointment, right after the hair appointment, take myself out to eat, whether it's for, depending on what time my hair appointment and what day, just take myself out to eat, I don't have to have a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? I could just take myself out to eat. Even if I wanted to pick up fast food, I could just sit in my car and listen to music, whatever I choose to do, and, it made me think of more creative ways that I can take this intimate time for myself and get to know myself, because we with ourselves all day, every day. And so when you date yourself, this is the best time to get to know yourself even more. And then you can know what you like and don't like. You will have more of a self-awareness about yourself. Also, number 2, be alone and not lonely. Embrace the idea of solitude and learning to enjoy your own company, because being alone and loneliness are 2 different things. Many people are in marriages and romantic relationships and they feel lonely. They really feel lonely and alone. So I just think it's important that you understand that being alone and loneliness is 2 different things. And when you start enjoying your own company, that's going to be a different shift in your life. And I love my time by myself. My daughter know I do. Like when I get time with her, not coming in my room and talking, and I love that she talks to me and we talk, and because we're close, and I, raised her a certain way, and, we're very open and there's no secrets in my house. We're very, basically, long story short, we're very real with each other. And so she'll come and talk to me and her dreams and her plans and what she wants to do. And sometimes I just don't want to talk. I want to just be in my room watching the movie and relaxing, and I like being in that solitude zone. Or sometimes I'm in my room, I just want to read a book, and it feels so good with the silence. It's just those type of moments for me is beautiful. And I love it. So embracing the solitude and enjoying your own company, that's important. The next thing, number 3, stop waiting to live your life. I used to do this a lot, especially in my 20s, waiting on friends, waiting on, other people to get their money together or just get themselves together before I go on trips and stuff. And in my 30s, when I turned 30, and within my 30s, my journey was truly healing, but it was also truly exploring the world a lot more. I would go to these different, when stuff was happening, I would go to the movies by myself. I would go to events by myself, and it was so fun. I remember when I went to go see Janet Jackson by myself, and that blew me away. I would go see, because I love music, so I would go see concerts. Whoever came that I wanted to see, I would get my ticket, and instead of and I'm not going to lie, I would have this anxiety and fear of going by myself. But once I paid for the ticket and I went, man, it changed my life, because I was doing these things and taking these risks, whether the risk was big or small, I was taking these risks and betting on myself and investing in myself. And it made me feel so good. And now during the pandemic, I think that's what I'm a little sad about, because I'm like, I love Broadway plays and Broadway shows and concerts. And so I've made a commitment to myself to make sure I go, because I love art. So I was like, I need to go to an art museum. I need to go to some art galleries, and go and take myself on a date, and that's important. So you can't wait to live your life, until you married or until you're in a relationship, to create this life. You need to have a life before, that relationship come, or before you get married, if that's what you choose, if that's what you want to do, or if you want a long-term partnership, have a life before all that. That's what makes it more exciting, because you got your own life before the other person come into your life. Number 4, stop obsessing about finding the one. I believe women are the treasure, and it is totally our job to be that treasure. And really, it's important not to chase a man. That's what I believe. As a woman, I used to always chase the man, like I said before earlier, trying to convince him of my worthiness of being his one and only, or being the wife for him. And it just made me lower myself, and I think it's important, whether you call it old school or whatever. This is my belief. I believe as women, we are the treasure. And it's totally not our job to chase or convince a man that we are so worthy of being in his life. I don't believe that. I don't believe that's our job, to say, oh, let me chase you down and make you feel like I'm worthy as the woman to be in your life. I don't believe that. And I used to, think opposite. I would chase them, like I said before, chase him down and, trying to convince him that I'm worthy to be in your life. But as I started to work on my self-worth and self-esteem, I realized that I'm a treasure, and I deserve to be pursued and to be, committed to. And not only that, but to be, asked about, to be known, and for him to want to get to know me, for a man to want to get to know me, and trying to figure out who I am as a person, and not just my outer appearance, but just to get to know my heart, and I think that's important. And so now in my life, I understand that, like, I am the treasure. I'm the treasure. I don't have to chase you and convince you. I'm not doing that. And because I have a better sense of who I am, and that becomes stronger each and every day, it has truly helped me out in my inner healing and self-worth journey. Number 5, embrace the season you are in. I think it's so important when you just, like I discussed this before earlier, when you embrace the season that you are in, instead of wishing that you were in a different season and time in your life, you're going to enjoy the present moment. You're going to enjoy the people, the place, and what you are doing, and the action that is taking place in that moment. When you start loving your life, loving the life that you're creating, you're going to be able to attract that love with ease and effortlessness. And I'm not saying you're not effortlessness, trying to say that word, effortlessness, not saying that you're not going to have to put in the work, but it's going to be an effortless approach that person is going to be attracted to you, and it's just going to flow. It's going to be organic. I truly believe, especially in this time in my life, because I used to always try to force relationships and trying to force this idea of a man, to be in my life. I had an idea of who he was supposed to be, and so every guy that came along, I'm like, well, whether you him or not, I'm gonna force you to be this ideal man for me. And God was pretty much probably laughing at me like, how that's gonna work? You can't control another human being, period, point blank. You can't control another human being's actions. But I think I know for sure I don't have to do that anymore, because what's for me is for me, and what is supposed to be connected and attracted to me won't pass me. The right things that God has for me. And I think that's just so important to understand. And I think as women, we shouldn't settle, speaking from a perspective, of course, because I am a woman. So we shouldn't settle, settle for love, settle for the things that we want in our life, and settle for all the other things in between. That it's okay to be single. It's not the end of the world. It's a choice. Be proud of your choice. Stand in that. It's not a forever season. When that right person comes along, it'll happen in the right timing. It's not going to be perfect because you got two different people in a relationship. But I know for me, speaking from my perspective, that the man that is going to complement my life and me complement his life, it's going to be an effortless, organic flow. It's going to be natural. It's not going to be something that's processed and you got to force and push together. Why would you want to force somebody to be with you? And that was the question I had to ask myself. Why are you trying to force these different relationships with these men that obviously don't want you in that way? They have a plan. They have their idea of who they want you to be in their life, but it didn't equal or measure up to the same thing that I desired and wanted. And I feel like it's very important as women that we deal with our inner wounds and inner issues. I'm all about healing, and that's what my platform is about in the Inspirational Corner. Truly is to inspire for women to heal the inner wound, heal what's going on within. Because when you are walking around with so many things in your life, in your past, that made you feel damaged, or whatever the word you want to use, I think it's just so important to take that time to heal. And healing is a constant process in the everyday journey. And I know for me, it's an everyday thing. And I'm stronger now than I was maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And I'm proud of the woman that I am. I'm not ashamed of my journey. I'm not ashamed of anything that I've been through. Yes, the things that I went through was hard, but at the end of the day, I'm so proud of where I'm at. And I'm so proud of how I am taking control and authority over my life. And I'm choosing to be an architect and to build a masterpiece and build a life that I'm happy to live and happy to participate in, instead of spectating, looking at other people's life through social media and coveting and wanting their life when they are just showing me a small reel of their life. And right now I can truly say that my only relationship goal is my spiritual relationship, always, because that's always a number one relationship goal in my life, my relationship with God. And the second thing is the relationship with myself. And the third thing is the relationship that I have with my daughter, and I think those three things for me are important. And those are the foundation of who I am and what I am as a person. And I'm embracing this time. And so I encourage you to embrace the season that you're in. Even if you recently got out of a relationship and you feel grief and you feel torn down in a way, this is your time to heal. This is your time to build and create a new foundation. Even if the relationship doesn't always have to be toxic for you to grieve over the relationship. It could just be you and the other person. It was just time to go y'all separate ways. Y'all outgrew each other, especially, being in a pandemic. We've been with people all day, every day. If you was in a relationship, in a marriage, and it probably just didn't work out, you outgrew each other, or whatever the situation was. This is the time to heal and to figure out who are you now, because we change each and every day. Who I was yesterday is not who I am today. Who I was a week ago is not who I am now. So because we're constantly evolving as human beings, it's important to reflect and take inventory of who you are in this moment, and what do you need and what do you want. And I think when you are single and you're able to have that time and that solitude and that peace, you can really gain more clarity and self-awareness of who you are and what you want in your life. And I just think in this single season that I choose to be in, it's going to be a beautiful journey. You know, I feel like the first 2 decades of my life, going through so many different things, and where I'm at now, being 41 and at this time being single, I think it's just going to go up because I'm at a different point and my mindset is different and I have more wisdom and more maturity in this time. And so with this said, just choose to be single and not to settle. And you all know here at the Inspirational Corner, we will always encourage you to live bold, live loud, and live authentically without apology. And I'm just wishing you all a beautiful week ahead and a beautiful weekend. And until the next episode, everyone, I'm wishing you nothing but love and blessings. Have a great week.